When the law fails, a father's love becomes the final verdict. They tell you that the system works. They tell you to trust the process, to sit in those cold plastic chairs at the station and wait for justice. But justice doesn't have a face, and it certainly doesn't have a soul. My dad, he's a quiet man, a fix-it guy. Spent 30 years under the hoods of rusted-out Silverados, his hands permanently stained with grease and hard work. He didn't talk much, but when he looked at you, you knew you were safe. Until the night, I wasn't. I remember coming home shaking so hard I could barely breathe. I didn't have to say a word. He saw the bruises. He saw the way I couldn't look him in the eye, and something in him just snapped. Not a loud snap like a bone breaking, but a quiet one. Like a light turning off in a room you'll never enter again. The police, they processed the scene. They took my statement, and then they let the guy walk on a technicality, a filing error. Can you believe that? A filing error was worth more than my peace of mind. I watched my dad sit at the kitchen table for 3 days. He didn't eat. He didn't sleep. He just stared at a piece of paper with that man's address on it. On the 4th morning, he kissed my forehead. He smelled like peppermint and motor oil, and he whispered, "Don't worry, baby girl. The trash is getting picked up today." He didn't take a gun. He took his heavy-duty steel handle pipe wrench, the one he used for the jobs that were stubborn. He found him at a dive bar off Highway 61. My dad didn't cause a scene. He didn't yell. He just walked up and delivered a brand of justice the courts weren't equipped to handle. They say the man begged. They say he screamed for the cops, the same cops he'd laughed at a week before. But my dad, he just kept swinging. Every strike was for a nightmare I'd had. Every hit was for a tear I'd cried. When the deputies finally pulled him off, my dad just dropped the wrench. He didn't run. He didn't resist. He looked at the dash cam of the cruiser and he smiled. It wasn't a scary smile. It was the smile of a man who had finally finished a long day's work. Now I visit him behind a glass partition. He's wearing orange and his hands are finally clean of the grease, but his eyes, they're bright again. He's doing 20 to life in a state facility, but he tells me every single time that he's never felt more free, because in a world full of monsters, I found out that my dad was the biggest one of them all, but only for the people who deserved it.